What's going on, ladies and gents? Without further ado, this is the Bitcoin Halving Masterclass. Today, April 10th, 2024. We right here on the doorsteps of one of the most pivotal events in crypto. So before I even dive in and get started, I need to ask one question. By a show of hands in the chat, drop a one if you're not a Skyton Academy student. Drop a one if you're not. All right. So that's what I like to see. All right. So here's the skinny, right? The Bitcoin halving is one of the most pivotal events in cryptocurrency. It dictates what happens to the price of Bitcoin. It dictates the supply of Bitcoin, and it ultimately determines how the rest of the market in cryptocurrency reacts. What everybody needs to understand is Bitcoin is not personally my favorite asset, right? But it has to get its respect because it's the very first cryptocurrency out the gate. Without Bitcoin, we wouldn't have the rest of them. So it sets the tone for all altcoins, all cryptocurrencies, right? First one out the gate. So you got to give it its respect. So that brings us to what exactly is a Bitcoin halving. So Bitcoin halving is essentially where the supply of coins that are minted and made available in circulation to the public to be purchased are cut in half every 4 years or every 210,000 blocks. All right. It just so happens that right now we're knocking on the doorstep of the next Bitcoin halving for 2024. So we're looking at April 19th through about April 21st or 22nd. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some slides with you guys just so you guys can follow along. And I'm also going to drop some information in the chat for you guys so you'll have the link to be able to follow along. All right. Share my screen. All right. Can everybody see that? I bet. Appreciate that. All right. So we'll go. Let me get these screens out the way and we good. All right, so Bitcoin halvings again every 4 years, every 210,000 blocks. This event essentially cuts the amount of Bitcoin that miners get for adding transactions to the blockchain, right? Literally cuts them in half. This chart right here that you're able to see, this chart shows you from the beginning of inception, which was about 2008, how many Bitcoins were made available to everybody to what it looks like present day. So in the beginning, it was 50 Bitcoin, which is a lot, just to be able to solve this little complex algorithm using your computing power and adding transactions to the blockchain. In 2012, we went down literally in half. That's why it's called the Bitcoin halving. So in 2012, we hit 25. 2016, we hit 12.5. This is the present cycle that we're in right now, which is 2020. Right now, they're getting 6.25 rewards. In about a week and a half, we're going to start to see rewards dwindle to now 3.125. So this is going to have huge implications. One, for the supply of Bitcoin that exists, and it's also going to play a major role in what miners are receiving for doing their job, right? The reason we need miners is because all transactions have to be immutable. They have to be added to a block and then added to the blockchain. This is how we're able to see an immutable record, right? Or a receipt of all transactions that happen on the blockchain. So this is definitely going to cause, some hysteria in the ecosystem. World. I don't know why this is doing this. There we go. All right. So now that we understand what's going on with the amount of Bitcoin that happens, now we want to see where we're going. But in order to do so, you have to know where we came from, right? So we showed you guys in previous cycles what the miners were rewarded with. During these cycles, it had huge implications on the price of Bitcoin. When you look back, it always tells you patterns and trends. These patterns and trends are extremely important because they're going to show you what can potentially happen coming up. And because we're right here on the 2024 Bitcoin halving, this right here is definitely going to mean something to you. So pay close attention to this. So this graphic right here is going to tell you the price of Bitcoin at each halving, and it's going to tell you the price peak after the halving. So about a year and a half to about 2 years after each Bitcoin halving happens, the price hits its all-time high. This year has been a little bit different, but I'll explain shortly. So going back to 2012, the halving happened November 28th. The price of Bitcoin was only $12. In the cycle between 2012 and 2016, right? It's 4 years. The all-time high was $1,134. And if you look at the date, that was April 12th of 2013. So it was about a year after the halving. And it went from $12 to $1,100, which is huge. Now look at your next cycle. Your Bitcoin halving happened on July 9th of 2016. And in December 16th of 2017, we hit right at about $20,000. That was the peak. We had another halving, which was halving 3. This happened in 2020, May, right? From that point to right now, we're in the current cycle. This is our third cycle. We hit 70K. This chart is a little under that mark, but we hit 70K and we even surpassed it. We went up to about 72, 73K. All right. So looking at the chart, this chart basically tells you that there's a pattern that's happening. The pattern is every time there's a Bitcoin halving, the amount of Bitcoin made available lessen. And after they lessen, we have about a year to about a year and a half of time when Bitcoin reaches an all-time high in that cycle. So because we're about to have one about April 19th, in a couple days, about a year to a year and a half from that date, we should see an even higher Bitcoin price. All right, so this is important to understand. In order to know where you're going, you must look back at historical data to see patterns and trends. I don't know why this joint keeps doing that. So to know where we're going, one must look back. This is a chart that is going to show you exactly what I just said. It just lays it out a little bit more easier for everybody to follow because I know numbers and dates are hard to just process through your brain. It's easier to just look at. And once you have the visual of it, you can kind of see what happens. So I'm not going to run this down to you guys because I just did it, but this tells you in layman's terms, once we have a halving, the amount of time it takes for it to hit a new all-time high. All right. And the reason I wanted to have both of these charts on here is because I'm setting you guys up for your profit opportunities that's soon to come. We have to talk about supply and demand. Because you know how it affects the miners, now you have to know how it affects you, the retail investor. The most important part to remember is that Bitcoin is finite. The amount of supply, the amount of Bitcoin that will ever be in existence is 21 million. It will never exceed this price. All right. So when you keep this in the back of your mind, and you know every 4 years we're going to have another Bitcoin halving cycle, you can clearly see here that the amount of Bitcoin in circulation substantially decreases. it goes down a ton, right? It's literally cutting it in half. Right now, we're at about 93% of Bitcoin that will ever be in existence. It's already out in circulation. So this means that the supply is going to continue to lessen as time progresses. What this means for you is if the demand stays the same to right where we're at right now, but the supply keeps going down, this is regular supply and demand talk. This means the price of Bitcoin will go up. So as you can see right here at the bottom, the icon, it shows you where we're at the halving. This is present day. All right. Keep in mind, we're at 93%, guys. But here's the thing you have to understand about supply and demand. If the demand continues to rise and go up, and the supply stays the same or it goes lower, which is always going to do, prices are going to go parabolic. So this chart right here, what you're looking at is the amount of Bitcoin addresses that have a balance of at least a tenth of Bitcoin, right? 0.10. You see that this number has substantially increased over time since about 2008 when Bitcoin came on the scene. Now, we're already at 93% of Bitcoin in circulation, so you only have 7% of the supply remaining. But here's what you have to keep in mind. Present day, miners are creating and minting 600 Bitcoins per day, right? That amount is, again, substantially being eaten up because there's one thing that changed in this cycle that never happened in any other cycle. That is institutional investors. We have big instos, we have the behemoths, and we have Bitcoin ETFs, which we're going to discuss shortly. This is a super game changer because what this means is right now, we have institutions who are buying Bitcoin at a rapid pace like never before. We've never had this type of capital and inflows into the cryptocurrency market than right now. What this means for you is you are in prime real estate. One, all you have to do is learn cryptocurrency as a whole. Once you have the knowledge and you know how to directly invest, you are now in the midst of the greatest wealth transfer ever. And I cannot stress that anymore. So here's where the profit opportunities lie. First things first, you have altcoins. So to anybody on this call who does not know what an altcoin is an alternative coin. This means it's any coin outside of Bitcoin. Bitcoin being the first coin in existence. Everything else that came after Bitcoin was considered an altcoin. Now, what you must understand is the flows. There is a cycle. There's an actual science to this. You're going to see a whole bunch of cryptocurrency, quote unquote, experts and these guys who have social media followings. Everybody is going to come out the woodworks and they're going to be pitching cryptocurrency to you. And they're going to look like geniuses. You know why? Because when it's altcoin season, this means that almost every single project in the space, right? And this is relative, but almost every single project that somebody can name, 9 times out of 10, it's going to see a price increase. And the reason being is because there's a flow. First, right now, where we're at this present moment, you always get a pump before you get the halving. The pump just happened. That's how we got to 72,000. Right after the pump, you get about a 30% decrease. The 30% has not happened altogether. It happened in 2 cycles over the past week and a half. We've seen Bitcoin drop 13%, and we've also seen Bitcoin drop another 18%. So we may see another dip of about 6 to 7% if it follows the same trend that it's always followed on the past halvings. So this is the time where, this is not financial advice, but this is the time where you're supposed to buy in the market. The reason being is because when you're at a dip, this is when you need to accumulate, whether it be Bitcoin itself, large caps, Ethereum, or any other altcoins, right? You have to fill up your bags when the price is low because you're getting greater entries. Now, once you've accumulated, you have to truly understand these cycles. And they're in 4 phases, which you see here. The money is going to come directly into cryptocurrency market, and it normally flows into the largest, most dominant cryptocurrency, which is Bitcoin right now. This is going to cause the pump. Once we get another pump, the money will stay in here. The other projects, they won't typically move right now because this year is a little different. Well, this cycle is a little different because they're not coupling with Bitcoin. You're going to see some movement, but not always, right? Bitcoin is going to be the star of the show. After Bitcoin pumps, you're going to start to see Ethereum with volatility. It's going to start going up and down, up and down, up and down, but it's going to be on an uptick, right? So this is when money is going to flow from Bitcoin and go directly into Ethereum now. Once it goes into Ethereum, Ethereum will go up, and it typically outperforms Bitcoin. Once that happens, you're going to see money flow out of Ethereum itself into ERC20 projects. Now, what are those? Those are projects that are built on the Ethereum blockchain. They're going to go directly into ERC20s, and you're going to see a ton of projects. You're going to see a ton of these guys come out the woodworks and pitch you ERC20 projects. They are going to go up. This is just the nature of the beast. Also, after that flow happens, you're now going to go into other large caps. This is going to be other altcoins that have real world use case. They solve real world problems. They have real strong fundamentals, right? And they call these large caps. So these are market capitalizations that are about $1 billion and higher, right? Or a couple $100 million and higher. You'll start to see them, that money trickle into them, and then all of the altcoins start to go berserk. So this, again, is another profit opportunity for you guys, because if you're following the cycle, you know what happens next. And then finally, you get what's truly called altcoin season. In altcoin season, this is when it gets crazy. Right now, this cycle is a little different because meme coins are included in altcoin season. But right now, we've been seeing meme coins go insane, especially on the Solana blockchain. So altcoin season, everything goes parabolic. Almost every project. Even some of the most nonsense, whimsical projects that are in existence. And this is what you have to understand. You must take profits. I'm not going to deviate too much from that, but that is a gem that you must hold on to. Because when alt season happens, shortly after altcoin season, that's when we get crypto winter. And when we get crypto winter, this is when projects basically do this. They go sideways. And they carry this on until the very next Bitcoin halving, which is going to be in 2028. So right now, you have from today to be prepared, to be in the industry and in the market, invested and ready to go. So if you guys are not already invested or know what to do, you definitely should be a student in Skyton Academy. We're going to teach you, and we already have the foundation. It's parts 1 through 5. Steve will go over that a little later. But this is very pivotal, guys. This is my favorite wheelhouse because my niche is dropping spots. So this is one of the 3 profit opportunities that you guys have to be aware of. Understand these phases, know what comes, and make sure you're properly positioned so that you can win. All right. So during altcoin season, I felt like this was super important to bring to you guys' attention, because if you don't have your mindset together, if you don't know how to control your emotions, it can wreck you, right? Because you're going to go through many different emotions in this cycle. And especially now, if I had to put a bet on the line with these institutional guys, they're going to buy up all the Bitcoin that they can. They're going to continue to buy it, which means there's only going to be but so much that the retail investors can buy. So that alone, if you're not already properly positioned, that gives you a sense of urgency where you feel like, oh, I have to get in. I have to invest now. I have to make this move right now. So that's one emotion. But now look at your screen and you see all these other emotions that are going to take place as you're trying to strategically navigate which projects to invest in and which ones to not. All right. So you have disbelief, hope, optimism, belief, thrill, euphoria. At euphoria, when you're starting to see these coins 50x, 100x, even some that are 1,000x, if not more, this is when that gem that I gave you guys has to stick into your mind. You must take profits. Because when you get to euphoria, there's going to be guys who have huge holdings who will potentially dump on you because they're going to secure profits. And when they secure profits, the price is going to dip. So during this Bitcoin halving, understanding the halving event is easy. Now, understanding what comes with the Bitcoin halving, that is when it gets super important. And this is when you have to do your due diligence and you have to be settled in what you're doing. And you have to be confident in yourself. So to piggyback off that, I told you guys there's never been a time like this ever before. The reason being is because we now have spot Bitcoin ETFs. This chart that you're looking at right now shows you how much since January of 2024 that these guys have been able to procure in Bitcoin. We're talking 500,000 Bitcoins since January. In 4 months' time, over 35 billion. These are all your funds that you see: IBIT, FBTC, BitB, ARCB. So these are all the ETFs that were approved that have funds. And you can see how busy they've been. These guys are making ways to gather new capital, more capital, and they're just continuously buying because they know what's going to happen. When they limit and have the amount of Bitcoins that's in circulation, these guys are already going to have their bags and the demand is going to continue to rise. So what does that mean? That means prices are going to go parabolic. So these guys are already properly positioned. So if you're not, you're already behind. But we got you covered. So before I pass this off to Steve, I want you guys to understand something. This Bitcoin halving is extremely different from the rest. The amount of guys that are going to come in this place and have their way with Bitcoin and altcoins is going to be so different than we've ever seen before. Now, the main thing you have to understand about these ETFs is it is a profit opportunity. You can definitely go in and invest into stocks. You definitely can. There are about 10 in the course that we have in the academy. There's about 10 stocks that are correlated to the price of Bitcoin. So whenever Bitcoin runs, those particular stocks run alongside it, right? So that is a big profit opportunity. And the reason it's so huge is because one of the things we always teach is diversification. Even though we focus on cryptocurrency, it is always great to have a diverse portfolio when it comes to crypto, stocks, whatever else, right? But here's the thing. Since when have you ever had any kind of education that's been associated with ETFs? You never have, and you never will. Because the ETFs were approved and they're already here. And as you can see, these guys are accumulating everything that they see. But they never taught you, the retail investor, the profit opportunities. They never showed you guys what exactly the ETFs are. So the thing you have to keep in mind is, I'll keep this short because most of the information is in the course. I strongly disagree with investing in ETFs because you can invest directly into the asset of Bitcoin by just directly purchasing it on a cryptocurrency exchange, putting it onto a cold storage wallet, saving it and storing it, making yourself your own bank. Now with the ETFs, the only advantage that is giving you is that it's giving people exposure who don't want to actually hold in custody cryptocurrency. But the downfall to that is you're paying somebody else to babysit your money, your investments. And that's exactly what's gotten us to the place that we're at right now today. That is the old way of thinking. The 401ks, the Roth IRAs, all of these old products, they may still be viable for the time being, but you don't know what projects or what companies that these banks are investing in, or that your job or your 401k is investing in. That doesn't make any sense to me. At our grown ages, we can invest in things ourselves. It only takes a little bit of DYOR, which is do your own research. So if you have the opportunity to invest directly into Bitcoin, I 100% would recommend that over allowing somebody else to invest in random projects and you not have any say-so over it. The biggest takeaway is you have to have the education. The education is the most vital component to any and all of this. And we take out any of the guessing for you inside Skyton Academy. Steve. Steve. Let me unshare. Hold on, guys.
Bro, I was unmuted the whole time. I was trying to alert you.
Yeah, I couldn't see it with the screen share.
Nah, I get it. Champ, you got to lead in. Let's give some value. What's the stocks they investing in?
So some of the well, I'm gonna give you guys one main one, right? This is one that's huge. It's called NVIDIA. So NVIDIA is a chip processor, a microchip processor, right? And you see that these guys are definitely doing their job on the stock side. It is the only company that is truly keeping the stock market afloat right now. It is going crazy because everybody needs chips. We have hardware processors where we have people using GPUs, right? The old way that people have been making money has now been opened up to the public. So now you have people who are using GPUs, computers, to be able to earn and provide to the ecosystem, right? And they're using these microchips to do so. So being the number one chip processor, NVIDIA has a competitive advantage over everybody. And one thing you have to understand is with Bitcoin uses hardware, right? The hardware is the mining machines. You have to have newer mining machines to be able to utilize some of these chips that they have, right? And that's how you're going to be able to mine and solve the complex algorithms faster. So NVIDIA is one of those projects on the stock side that you could invest in that is major. So that one is my favorite.
Yeah, let me go a little bit deeper. Guys, NVIDIA's driver is really artificial intelligence, right? So the price we're seeing right now is I just don't want it. I don't want them to think that it's Bitcoin that's driving this at all, right? Because the miners have been miners. There's no new miners coming into this industry. Okay. So my favorite for Bitcoin is Coinbase. Coin. And the reason that it's that is because when these guys filed for the approvals for the ETFs, where they holding everything? Coinbase.
Yeah.
That's who's custodying the Bitcoin, meaning that's the company that everything is running through. So for me, if I had to put money, I would go Coinbase first, because Coinbase is built, that their business, 100% of it is cryptocurrency. Right. So when we're looking at NVIDIA, it's a great project. Don't get me wrong, but it's AI driven. It's future driven. Right. And it's super high in price on top of that. Right. So it's just been really outperforming everything, and it's holding up the market. So I would definitely go Coinbase, because this is where everything is going to run. The digital 401k is going to run through Coinbase. Coinbase has been taken over by institutional investors. So it makes sense for them to run the vertical through Coinbase. Coinbase is the easiest exchange, and the easiest way for people to enter the market is through Coinbase. No other exchange makes it easier.
Yeah.
You still want to go NVIDIA?
Nah, I mean, I personally just know that that's the big boy that the weight of the stock market is on. But coin is definitely key. It's 100% key. And it's cryptocurrency. It's going to be the one that houses, they're doing the custody for all the crypto.
So we got to go a little bit deeper. There's some guys in here that mentioned Mara. So now we're talking about Marathon and Riot. Write those two down. Okay. These stocks correlate with the miners. Okay. Now, the issue where you have to do your own research is, historically, they don't tend to go up, because what's happening is there's less and less rewards going out for miners. So they basically had to accumulate prior to the halving cycle in order to accumulate enough Bitcoin. So now they're waiting on the price of Bitcoin to go up. They're not really going to be rewarded anymore, like Champ told you before in the prior slides. So that's not always going to correlate to the stock doing any better. So historically, those projects haven't really mooned during those cycles, right? There was one thing that was said before, and I just don't want you guys to be a little bit confused. Bitcoin is not the driver of cryptocurrency in the future, right? Because it almost sounded like you made it seem like every 4 years, that situation goes. Everything has already decoupled from Bitcoin, meaning when mass adoption, when institutional adoption to people using blockchains, corporations first, when they start to take off, those projects are going to start to take on a role of its own at that point. So we don't have to wait 4 years for a cycle to think that all coins is gonna pump. That's just the part I just wanted to point out, because
it was
kind of listed that way. So I just wanted to make sure that it's not every 4 years and then you think there's an altcoin cycle. You have to get positioned now to understand that by the next cycle, all of the stuff that's happening right now, 99% of those projects by the next cycle are going to die. So that means the industry is only going to focus on maybe 100 top projects, maybe. So now when the next Bitcoin cycle comes up, you're not looking at, we can't say all the altcoins are going to run, because they're not even going to be around again.
Yeah.
You understand? So now you have to know which altcoins are going to be around. This is where the education is important. So it doesn't matter what we tell you today. We always look further out to the future. You understand? So another way that you guys can invest too in this cycle is by trading futures, which is like trading options and stocks. So cryptocurrency, you can bet on if the price is going to go up or down at a future price. Understand? And this is the main driver. This is one of the main reasons why BlackRock and all these guys went after the ETFs. Understand this. If the government doesn't have clear rules and regulations behind cryptocurrency, how were the institutional guys able to wrap something legal around a product that's not fully considered, that doesn't have clarity? Has anybody asked themselves that question? When they created the ETFs, they didn't create it for you guys to just be investors. You have to understand, when you give these guys money, they're borrowing against that ETF, and they're doing God knows what with it. Okay? So this is what the institutions are doing. They're creating debt around profits, because the banks have been losing. This is a hedge against the banks, guys. So when Larry Fink and Kathy Woods are all saying this is a flight to safety, a flight to security, they're basically telling you, you need to get your money out of these financial institutions and you need to put them in other vehicles, assets. Because the guys who own the ETFs, you have to look at what else they own. They manage a lot of money in the world. So why would they keep their money inside of bank products? Why would they keep their money inside of commercial real estate? Why would they keep their money in a bunch of old verticals that aren't making money for them anymore? Every bank is on thin ice right now. They're one bank run away, and a bank run is when everybody runs to the bank to remove their money. They're a bank run away from just being gone. So we used to think there was Big Five, but Wells Fargo may not even make it out of this one.
Yeah, it's true.
Understand, banks have more debt than they do assets. This is why, you know, a lot of our people here are we met you guys through debt raising with other influencers and educators. So what you're seeing right now is a debt bubble that's happening. So you take this money that you learn how to raise and you put it in what? Old financial instruments that are failing. You guys are not studying the markets correctly. The people that are selling you things don't study the future markets. So they made their money off of education. You understand? The part that's hard to sell people, it's hard to sell people a vision of something that didn't happen. Right? So you'll rather spend your money on a burning bridge than building a new infrastructure bridge. This is just facts. This is from one visionary. Hopefully you guys are visionaries, or you're on the path to being one. That's someone who's not living in the present, who looks a little further out, right? Because our counterparts, what do? They have 1,000-year plans, 100-year plans. How are you gonna, we're talking about closing the wealth gap. How can you close that if you just thinking about what you're doing today for tomorrow? So when Champ brings up the point about the education part, it's important because the ETFs, those white wizards, they're not educating you on the space. It is not about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not the driver of cryptocurrency. I'm going to tell you that in the future. By 2030, you're going to look back and you're going to say, damn, they were right about this. Mm-hmm. At best, it's an altcoin. It doesn't do anything. Yeah. It's digital gold. It's where you store, it's of store value. That's it. It's a place that you go and park money. And they'll tell you that, but it can't be a means of exchange. You're not going to have 70,000 a Bitcoin price and buy a cup of coffee. Yeah. It's not anything that you do a transaction with. The fees on Bitcoin are astronomical. It's slow. The system is bogged down. It still needs, and the other thing too is, guys, not every blockchain utilizes the same technology as Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. Right? So when Champ gave you the technology of Bitcoin, that's not every blockchain. So we're talking about, I don't know how old you guys are, but AOL compared to Google. That's it. It's just AOL was here first, but that doesn't mean they last. Yahoo was one of the biggest tech companies. Where are they at now? Polaroid sold the most cameras, but they didn't capitalize on the digital space. Okay, so you guys kind of see where I'm going with this. So on the stock side, you have to be careful with the crypto mining stocks, Marathon and Riot. And you can just look at the pattern of it now, right? Do your simple research. Look at the price of, so he gave you NVIDIA. Look at the price of Coinbase over the last month or 2 months. Look at the price of the mining stocks, and you can see that they're not correlating with the price of Bitcoin or the price of Coinbase. Mm-hmm. Champ, give them two more. Give them two more. We got to give them value. They already know that they need to be inside this academy. Period.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Right? So give them, let loose on them.
I got you.
And you don't have to explain what the products are. Just let them do their research. Give it to them.
Okay. All right. So another stock play is Block Inc., formerly known as Square. Right. That's the payment processor. They use Bitcoin. So let
them fish that one out. We talk that stuff. Listen, guys, all the discussions we have in our university, we give you everything. Right now, we're just going to give you, we're leading you to water, but you got to drink that thing. Lead them to water.
Got you. PayPal Holdings. You got CME Group, MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy has another one at the top. You guys will hear about it a lot. Listen, these guys are investing crazy into Bitcoin, but the reason they're doing it is because they're basing their whole, their whole company's valuation around what Bitcoin is going to do in the future. And because they know it's a limited asset, that's why these guys is pushing everybody towards it. But if these guys are willing to invest in Bitcoin or emerging, right, emerging assets, new assets, why wouldn't you? Why are you on the sidelines? Why wouldn't you start hedging against what's going on in the world? Inflation, hyperinflation. We got all kinds of nonsense that's going on here, and our dollar is dwindling. We got other countries moving away from the dollar. The value of the dollar dies more and more every single day. The one thing that gave it value was the petrodollar. These countries are already moved away from it. Saudi Arabia, all the head producers of oil, they've already started moving away from it, and they're using digital assets, and they're using local currencies, their own currencies, to transact. They used to have to use the dollar. Now they're circumventing it, right? So what does that tell you? The power of the money that you have in your pocket gets lesser and lesser and lesser by the day. So what are you going to do? What is your reserve? Move right here to this emerging market. This is where you're supposed to be. So even though we're giving you these profit opportunities, at the end of the day, the most valuable thing is the education behind it. Because if you have the education, you know where you're supposed to go. And once you start digging, it's going to lead you on a path that you probably never even thought of.
So guys, Champ mentioned something that was great too. So the everyone's going to come out the woodworks and become a crypto influencer. And this is the reason why. What tends to happen in the educational spaces and just even in the news cycle, right? You always want to latch on to what the biggest news is in the cycle, right? So during the pandemic, trucking, Turo, right? Because there's cause and effect behind the pandemic. Now you're starting to see these guys kind of pipe down a little bit, right? So everything went from $10,000 course to $100, 99% off. You're starting to see the trend now because shit's getting played out. Crypto's slowly coming in, and I can tell you how. If you guys watch EYL, put one if everybody's familiar with EYL. Okay, so everybody's familiar with it. It's one of the biggest networks for financial literacy in our community today, right? So these guys are at the forefront of it. 2 years ago, did you hear anything about cryptocurrency? Okay, a year ago, anything? Do you hear anything besides Bitcoin and Ethereum on that platform?
Nope.
See where I'm going with this? So that becomes now they're going to lead the culture into burning buildings because they don't have enough knowledge in the space. And it's not a dig against them. I'm just telling you that when you don't have good discernment, you don't know who's real versus who's not. You understand? Champ and I live this. You're going to have a bunch of guys that are going to type in chat GPT prompts and they're going to sell you ebooks. Go back, look at their community, look at when they were formed. We've been in this since 15. We created this, 2020.
2020, yeah. Yep.
So it wasn't that we learned about crypto during that time. We just created the learning platform at that time for obvious reasons. If you know who we are, we did it because of the times. Because we were invested in it since 2015. So we've already been in a teaching mode, but the formal teaching came out in 2020. So go back to, when you have an influencer that hits you up, go back to their YouTube page, get all their socials, get all their communities, and find the start date. That's the first thing I want you to do. Find the start date. If there's a crypto influencer that just started learning during the pandemic, I can tell you that he or she doesn't have deep knowledge in the space, period. Then on top of that, I'm not going to discredit them because there are some guys that do deep diving. So there'll be some people out there. But the problem is you guys don't know how to disseminate what's real versus what's not.
Yeah.
Because everybody's going to tell you, give me 1 Bitcoin, I'll give you 2. They'll even show you that they have 2 to give you and you can't pull that out. We have about tens of thousands of hours of free content on YouTube. Have at it. You understand? So, and that's the part that you really can't recreate. So when people are selling beautiful ebooks for $9.99 and they've mastered the art of coming together and all the social media stuff and the ads, then that's great. They'll make a ton of money. But when you actually listen to people, this is the thing now. You have to start hearing what comes out of their mouth, not the $9.99 that they're going to tell you or the $29 or the $27. Listen to how they talk about cryptocurrency. And if it's only about Bitcoin and Ethereum and they don't go any deeper than that, drop them like a bad habit. You are going to waste your time and your money. I'm telling you that because I follow a lot of people online. I've even purchased product from people, not on the crypto side, but more so. And most of the crypto guys, they make money off of shilling projects. That means that they're getting paid from projects to push something on you. That's the nature of this business, guys. 99% of this stuff is all speculative at this point. What do I mean by that? There's not too many crypto projects that are making money right now. You understand? So money is circulating within this market at a particular way. Be careful out there. I'm telling you right now, I've had people send tens of thousands to fake pages that they thought was mine. Okay, so everyone is getting taken advantage of. And the bigger that this industry goes, we're at 2.6 trillion right now, the bigger that it grows, the more scams and the more elaborate things are going to be. All right. So that's the warning shot. That's the final one. Now let's move on to business now. I like to open up with this quote right here. It's better to look ahead and be prepared than to look back and regret. Guys, there's so many of our parents, right? Because at the start of the internet, if you're around my age, we got started probably around 8th grade. Okay. The investing in technology started to happen in the early 90s to mid 90s. That was the tech bubble, the boom and the bust, right? The issue is when people only talk about technology and boom and bust, what they leave out is they leave out the educational part. Champ, you don't have to share. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah. They leave out the education part. That's the part that transcends things. So imagine if my parents not only would have invested in Apple and all these other companies, but what if they would have just invested some knowledge in it and they would have positioned me to say, Steve, this is how you use the internet. So what disservice are you giving your kids or your nephews or grandchildren? What disservice are you doing them right now when they have the inability to understand this technology? And if we know that historically financial literacy is never taught inside the schools, what the hell do you think is going to happen when this cryptocurrency things come to the forefront? These schools will not be talking about this. So now it is on the parents in the household, in the community, in the village you have around you to disseminate that information. Here's the warning, guys. There's no more jobs in the future. You understand? That meaningless work that you're doing right now, if you're pushing paper, if you're a middleman in something, just understand that automation is going to take you out. So where are you going to get money? You're going to find a job in the same industry for another company? No, everybody, the whole industry is being phased out right now. So this is a matter of just life and death. And I don't mean to put it like that, but if you lose your job and the only thing that you're skilled for, you think you're going back to school. They're not hiring for degrees anymore. So what are you going to learn? Python? Crypto? Blockchain technology? Cybersecurity? What are you going to learn? Mm-hmm. Historically, we don't go into those jobs, Black and brown people. Historically, we don't go into those fields. So I'm urging anybody on this call right now who has children that are on their way to college or about to go to college, do not look at this year. Look at 4 years from now when they graduate. 90% of those jobs in things that they're teaching these kids in college, they will not be able to use it. We couldn't even use the shit we learned in college. And I went to school for computer science. It is continuing education is the key to surviving in this world. Stop playing around with these white institutions. They are leading you down a burning building. Understand me. It is a debt game that this country plays with people, and they force you to be on this hamster wheel to continue working. But what happens when work is no longer available because of your skill set? Two classes of people, useful and useless. Yeah, I heard this already. Figure out where you go. It's getting me hot right now. If you're not paying for the product, you are the product. Understand your most valuable asset right now, and I'll share my screen so I could ask the question and you guys can answer it. This is where it gets good. You killed that having thing too.
Appreciate you.
Clear, concise, guys. You have the links, so you could always go back to it. The pattern is there. You understand? This is a pattern. It happens. Now, granted, guys, and I have to throw it out there. World War III could be triggered and all this shit is off kill. You understand? So there are things that can create big problems in the world, right? And that's every investment is going to be affected. So keep that in the back of your mind, all right? Make sure you keep some cash, some gold, and some silver on you, okay? Because if the lights go out, you have to transact. Meaning if I go to the store and the credit card machine doesn't work, guess what? They could manually open a register. Most of these kids can't count. I can tell you that right now. This new generation that's working inside these stores, they're not used to counting change. This is where we're at right now in the world. People can't count.
Welcome to Skyton Academy, where knowledge meets opportunity, including our next pillar, trading. Dive into the world of trading with our comprehensive courses and masterclasses. Our flagship course, Futures 101 and Technical Analysis, equips you with the skills and insights needed for successful trading. Plus, exclusive future calls are included. Stay tuned for upcoming courses on Forex trading, stock option trading, and much more. Enroll today and unlock the door to endless trading opportunities. Skyton Academy, shaping futures.
All right, I took back over. All right, guys. So in the chat, drop what you think your most valuable commodity is second to time. And most of my students are on here, so they kind of know this already. Data. There you go. If in the last how many years we have historically turned these tech companies, they're too big to fail at this point. What do you think the driver of these tech companies were? Because what are you paying for Instagram? Drop it in the chat. What do you guys pay for Instagram? What do you pay for Meta? What do you pay for TikTok? You see where I'm going with this? Every time you download an app, does it not ask you to release everything? Your address book, your microphone, your camera. Why do you think they're collecting? What do you think they're doing? The data. They monetize your data. So this is why we lead with 3 M's: monetize, minimize, and maintain. Okay? This is where the money's at. If they were to give us a kickback, because without our data, there is no product for them. There's nothing for them to sell. So they're selling stuff in exchange for giving us free shit that's not even working for us. We would much rather get paid from Instagram than be on Instagram, right or wrong. See where I'm going with this? So data is the number one commodity, second to time. Okay? Here's the part that gets good, and this is new. All right? You guys, do you feel like you're in control of your own life? Put a 1 in the chat if you do, and put a 2 if you kind of on the fence with that question. And it's as simple as that, guys. Don't go too deep with it. Do you feel you're in full control of your own life? Put a 1 if you do, and a 2 if you don't. See where I'm going with this? You guys are being honest. All right? So here we go. So your time is controlled by who? Your employer and the actual world, right? If you go on Instagram in the settings, you can see how much time you spend on all these apps. You can see how much time you spend on apps, how much time you spend on Netflix and things like that. So we're just taking inventory of things that are always pulling our time from us. And even for Steve as an entrepreneur, my company is pulling time from me. I can't get up and do whatever I want any given day. I still have to be responsible. I have a little more time than people that work a traditional 9 to 5, in the sense of, if my kids have an event, I don't have to ask for permission, right? I'm just here front row and center. All right. So your money, how many people feel like they really have control of their money? Are you guys running your own banks? Did you park your money in the bank, and are they babysitting it? Did you give your money to a financial advisor, to an ETF? Are they babysitting the money for you? Did you give your money to Jay Morrison and the Wall Street fund that's about to go down? We're talking about between 11.5 and $15 million of money that was generated from a community that believed in crowdfunding. And in less than 2 years, that's out of there. Now, let me just tell you guys something. A lot of these influencers out here and educators that are scamming people, it's unfortunate, but let's talk about self-accountability right now, because if it's not one person, it's going to be somebody else. At the end of the day, the one thing that everybody has in common is they have to take advantage of people who don't know anything about a particular space. So we have smart money and we have dumb money. And I'm just going to explain like that. I'm not calling anybody smart or dumb. I'm just telling you that when you understand money and you understand investing, you're more careful, and you can check off a little bit more boxes when somebody comes to you with an opportunity. You understand? So when they're putting out these investment vehicles, they're making it difficult for you to understand the landscape. And then they know that you don't have the time because your employer owns your time. So you can't manage your money if you're working all day, right or wrong. Because during the stock market, How ironic that when the stock market opens, you're at work, and when it closes, you're where? On your way home. What y'all doing when you get home? You investing? You putting more time in? You're checking on your money? No, you're letting people babysit that. Your health. How many people have control of their health? The doctor tells you something, you take it and you run with it. Because we don't have time. Right? We don't have time. Check engine comes on in your car. What do? You go straight to the dealer or the mechanic and you fix it. Your body gives you signals. What do? Oh, I got to go to work. You see, you starting to see this pattern? Security, law enforcement. How many people can protect their family that I don't know can do more protection than I can in real time before even dialing 911? And then data. Everyone has our data. Data is the biggest whore in the world that does nothing for us at the end of the day, outside of giving us things to distract us, to keep us away from one, managing our security, managing our data, managing our health, managing our money and our time. So what if I told you get paid from giving your data? This is the future. Cryptocurrency was built to remove the middleman from the equation. Take this book down, Killing the Sacred Cow. I want everybody to grab that book, whether it be an audio book or the actual physical book, Killing the Sacred Cow. This was a financial advisor who worked on Wall Street for a long time. He fired all of his clients and he told them, listen, this whole thing is a scam. And he breaks it down inside the book. Everything from your 401k to every vehicle that these guys have created. These financial institutions created problems for people, right? They reset stuff every 7 or 8 years and they make it seem like you need them in order to move your money through these cycles that they're creating. These are man-made cycles at the end of the day. They create a problem here and they say, oh, we got to move it over here. And then they make the money here. Then they short that market and they make the money, but they're not giving you the squeeze. So why are we still running on this hamster wheel? Why are we still living check to check in this country, in this world of abundance? Why is the 1% breaking from the 1%, but the bottom half keeps losing more and more money? Oh, okay. All right. So listen, guys, the short and skinny, you know that we're Skyton Academy. We were formerly Skyton Crypto University. We're just a lot more than cryptocurrency. So we just did a revamp at the top of 2022. Okay. So we're all things financial literacy, but we go a little further than that. All right. You guys will have these slides so you can get to know who Champ and I are. If you don't already know, it's in our bio right here. I'll just skip over it for the sake of time. Now at the Academy, we have 5 pillars, guys. Cryptocurrency, and this in no order. Okay. Personal and professional development, health and wellness, and trading. So what happens in each one of these pillars is we assign courses and masterclasses. So we bring in not only ourselves, but we bring in industry insiders in different topic points. So at the university, at the Academy, so I have to get used to it, you have access to more than just cryptocurrency. And we have a lot of our students on the call. And I urge you guys to just ask questions. Just, if you guys want to just throw some stuff in there to tell them how real we are, how fake we are right now, so they can just see it in the chat, have at it. Good, bad, or indifferent. I'm not monitoring it because I know what the deal is. So when you get into each one of these pillars, you guys have to understand the problem with our community is everybody needs and wants money. Put that aside. That's the obvious. Okay. But the issue is, how come we could all have the same product and have different outcomes? It's mindset at the end of the day. You understand? You have some guys with an abundance mindset who just grow. They don't need things right now. You have people who are interested in things and they can't hold on to $1 every time they get it. They rely on their paychecks. They live check to check. Get it? That's most of America right now. So there's a mindset. So we focus on that. We lead with like planning and execution and personal development. We have brain training. We have a brain training instructor, right? Who's teaching you how to increase the hard drive in your mind. These are all, we're bringing you things that other teaching platforms aren't bringing, because the other teaching platforms need to get you accustomed to what's hot now. You understand? So what's going to happen when Airbnb runs out? What's going to happen when this runs out? What's going to happen when that runs out? Those products are taking a hit right now. This is the most Fortune 500 companies in the last 2 years that have filed for bankruptcy. And we're talking about big companies. So what makes you think your mom and pop operation is safe? And most of us are relying on other people's platforms in order to make money. So we don't even have our own communities anymore. You understand? So when Instagram goes down and they decide to take your page down and they take all my followers from me, and I have no way of speaking to people at this point now. This is why we built our own portal. Yeah, we talk over there because that's kind of where the bodies are, but there's nothing really going on over there of substance like that. I have to pay in order for me to get my message out to the followers that I've accumulated over time. That's the nature of that business right there. So I don't think you guys realize how powerful we are as a collective when we come together and we leave the nonsense alone. So when I mentioned the Jay Morrison situation with the Wall Street fund, it was more of it's time for us to take accountability for who we give our money to, who we let in our circle at the end of the day, because that's a big hit on the entire industry right there. The whole teaching industry, the whole black and brown teaching, we every time someone fails that's up there, it affects all of us, because now it's like, I told you, these guys, we're all new to teaching for the most part. You understand? But when it comes down to investing, it is your job and your duty to make sure you understand who's investing your money and what they're investing in. So that 401k that you have at your job, you know how many people I know that don't even know where the money's at, what company it's with? They get statements, they never read them. Did you guys not research what happened in 2008 with the last crisis that we had? Everybody that worked, that put money in 401k, you know, those people had to go back to work because their 401k was wiped out. That was their retirement. The same thing is going to happen today with those 401ks. We have an insurance guy who comes on professional development. We're doing a masterclass that's going to show you how to take your 401k, move it around, and get it into other vehicles without losing the value of it. Because if you try to pull it, they're going to take upwards of over 30-something%. So understand, your money's not even your money at the end of the day. You get taxed for trying to do what you want to do with your own money. Are you in control of your life or not? So if you can't, if everybody, most people on this answer that they're not in control of their life, then what does that mean for your children when they become young adults and they're on their own? Who they turning to for advice? They're fucked. Because there's no more industries. There's no more industries unless they're going to be going into emerging industries. And that's the problem with our people. We don't like to look at emerging. We don't want to be the first. We don't have vision. They've trained us, they've conditioned us to follow, not lead. And it's not just black and brown people, it's all people, right? Because if we have a 1% and that's breaking away from each other, that means there's a lot more, there's less people that control everything. So the Academy is just really here to put the power back in people's hands. That's it. That's what this technology is here for. And that's why I started to invest in the technology, because I said something has to shift at this point. We cannot continue to keep moving the same way that we move. And you're watching, the entire world is coming off the US dollar. How come you're not? If the entire world, emerging markets are coming off the US dollar, how come you're not? If the institutional investors are moving off the US dollar, how come you're not? So for $50 a month, that's going to make or break something. To understand an emerging technology that, oh, well, Larry Fink is here, Kathy Woods is here. That shit, maybe there is something about it. I can see prior to them coming, it could be a little hard, right? Watching a guy in a hoodie yelling at you all day, like, oh, who's this guy? But now the big boys are in here, and we've been told you that. So that's why I say go back and look at the YouTube. Just go back to the oldest YouTube video. Watch the very first one. And actually, the very first one is a barn burner. We didn't even put that on there. That was like 6 hours. But just go back and watch the earlier ones. It's everything we're saying today we said years ago. Champ, you back on? All right. You good?
Yeah, I'm on through mobile. We have power outage.
Ah, man, yeah. Things were flickering a little bit too while you were talking.
Man, that's crazy.
It's all good. All right, cool. So we're at the pillar part. So we're here.
Yeah.
All right, next slide. All right. So I'm not going to bore you guys with this. These are some of the courses that you get with the $50 a month. So we've broken them down into 5 pillars. So cryptocurrency. And guys, listen, we're teaching you everything. And I'm just giving you the future stuff. So airdrops, DPIN, tokenization, metaverse, DeFi, NFT, you name it, right? These are all courses that are coming in. And we have courses on the left-hand side that are already here. So for most of my beginners that are in here, we have this 5-part situation that just teaches you cryptocurrency broken down in an easy to follow way. All right. That's usually where people start with cryptocurrency and the foundation. All right. And then our courses in cryptocurrency, they're broken down really easy, guys. They go from beginner to intermediate to advanced. So we left the guessing out of it. And then we're teaching you how to flow through it. Okay. We have personal development. Okay. So health, wellness, and mindset, planning and execution, brain training. And we have a lot more coming on the personal development side. All right. Professional development. Planning, execution, again, link to, this is private equity investing. Again, this is not something that's brought to our community because we're never really investing in companies before they come to market, right? If we're investing in them at all. So there's an industry where you can invest pre-IPO, meaning before they go public. Nas, all these guys invested in Coinbase. They got in at like $2, $3, guys. The thing is up to $200 and something right now. You understand? So the closer you can get to the information and the knowledge in the start, the more profitable it will be in the future. The longer you wait to get into emerging markets, you're just exit liquidity at that point. And if I had to guess, no one's going to have enough money to invest in these price points right now, because how many people could buy one Bitcoin right now at 70K and feel comfortable about it? Even if I told you Bitcoin would have got to $1 million, put a 1 in the chat if you feel comfortable today paying $70,000 out of your account right now. And I want to see it. Give me a 1 if you feel comfortable paying $70,000, and give me a 2 if you don't. And comfortable could be the means. The 2 could just be because I don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
See where I'm going with this? Bitcoin started at what, champ? In 2008 formally, but 2009 when it hit.
0.0006.
So understand, guys were trading Bitcoin for pizza back in the day. I just saw the other day, there was a clip from $1 Million Listing New York, and one of the guys wanted to purchase a condo for $13 million in Bitcoin. So they offered, well, the price was $15 million. They offered $14 million in Bitcoin. And today's present value, do you know how much that Bitcoin would have been worth for that seller? $3.4 billion from the time of that transaction. That was only a couple years ago. That's how much it would be worth today. Lack of knowledge created that holdback. I got into the space when Bitcoin was like $300 to $500. We saw $2,000-$3,000 entry points. Okay. So I'm just giving you an example of when you think you have time, no problem. Keep waiting. All right. So professional development, like I said, we have insurance guy coming on. We have real estate. So all forms of real estate, tax lien sales, fix and flip. There's a ton of information coming there. We have lenders, real estate lenders. We have a plan called 1 and 2 that we put out as our first 2 masterclasses. That's going to give you the past, present, and the future, right? That's going to give you ways to ways to hedge against inflation. We showed you how to buy gold and silver, where to buy it from, which ones to buy. So these are all things that you're getting in for $50. So today you got the Bitcoin halving, but I'm just telling you, that's a small piece of the pie. And guys, if you're part of the university, chew on them. Good, bad, or indifferent. I'm not monitoring it. So one of the ways that Champ told you that you can make money in the halving cycle is by trading options. Bitcoin futures, which is similar to stock options. This is one of the reasons why Larry Fink and them created the Bitcoin ETFs. They wanted to they're going to control the trading of cryptocurrency through futures market. We've been training people 2 years ago on futures. They're not going to train you on futures. You understand? They're going to tell you to invest your money with their firm because they built out crypto desks years ago. And then you're going to give them the money and they're going to go trade the futures themselves. And I can tell you that you don't need to do that because we have it for free in here. We'll show you the foundational understanding of how to trade crypto futures. Health and wellness, guys, that just goes without saying. Health, wellness, mindset, the power of plant medicine, palm reading, astrology, you name it. We have blood work, how to, take proper care of yourself in the sense of you don't need your doctor to run blood tests once a year. That tells you nothing about who you are. I'm going to tell you that right now. So we have companies that we've made contact with in partnerships that are going to allow you to run your own private blood work. Has anybody put a 1 in the chat if you've ever run or continue to run private blood work for yourself? And put a 2 if you just rely on what the doctor tells you to do. How they looking over there, champ?
I got 1-1 and 1-2. Now it's a bunch of 2s.
Yeah, we just listen, guys. This is just all about being honest, because I didn't know what I didn't know. Right? You don't know what you don't know. So I'm just telling you that when you get with a team like Champ and I that created an academy like we did, it's a vertical beyond that. It's a gift that keeps giving. If anybody's in the academy that's currently in the academy, is the $50 worth it or not? That one I do want to know though.
Right. Sound off in the chat.
Oh, okay. Because I want to know if can we charge a little bit more for that? For what we have currently on the platform, not even what's coming. Can we charge a little bit more for what's on the platform right now?
More than worth it. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It sure is worth it.
Just checking. All right, guys. So on this page right here, and you'll get in a slideshow, it just tells you everything that's included. I'm not going to go over that. And then here's our social media, right? So this is a good way to follow us. Be careful. There's a lot of fake pages out there right now. You have to keep your head on the swivel. We lead with security. Okay? Hey, guys, the biggest takeaway that I want you guys to get from this, we have to grow up. You understand? We cannot allow people who don't have our interests, our best interests, to lead us into the future. It just won't happen. Everything that these guys are building in the future is actually removing human labor. Okay? It's removing human labor. So what are they supplementing? Did anybody put out a press release and say, hey guys, there won't be any jobs, come learn this? No. Right? We have companies coming on. They have Python is the coding language right now. We have partnerships with companies that are going to teach you guys for free. Companies are paying people to learn this stuff right now because there's not enough skilled people to usher us into the future right now. So it's not that there won't be jobs. It's just that you have to be positioned to understand where the industries are moving. So if I told you that you can make money walking, talking, running, jogging, everything you do, you should be able to make money on in the next 5 years with the internet. Everything. And we just had a masterclass on that a couple of weeks ago, and that was free. And when you come inside the course, you get that when you're in the academy. You get the deep in course. That's how we make money on our phones. That's how we make money driving. All this data that we're collecting on the crypto side and the blockchain side is being rewarded when we allow them to use our data. And they have to pay us in tokens, and those tokens have value, and that's how we eat. So if I told you that you could buy your time back, you don't really need to work in the future the way that this system is going to be set up now. That Asian guy, Wang, he ran for president the last cycle, Andrew, right? That was his biggest thing. It was like, listen, all the money's with the tech companies, make them kick back to pay people for their data. You understand? Mark Cuban, a visionary, he has a company where they protect your data from the internet. So Meta the other day, we just found out that they sold $100 million. They just sold all the private DM messages that Meta has collected to Netflix for $100 million. Do you see how we're getting hoarded out right now? $100 million. What do you think Netflix is going to do with that information right there?
Create super consumers. They're marketed directly to people based on those messages.
So if they paid $100 million, there's no way that these guys pay that money and don't think that there's 100x vertical that they could wrap around that. So the question is, where's the money? Where's the money? Where's this bag that the industry, that the culture keeps chasing? I keep asking this every call. No one has been able to tell me where the bag is. Where's the bag?
You want to tell them?
It's on my cold storage. I don't know where your bag is at.
Hey, last time I checked, mine is on my cold storage, Jizz with an S, plural.
Oh, did that too. So if y'all don't know what that means, more of a reason for you to get $50. And guys, we've been doing this for a while, so I don't want to waste anybody's time on this call tonight. I'm just telling you that education is the key. We're going to continue to deliver. We're going to continue to give free masterclasses. However you feel fit, whenever you're ready, we're here to introduce you with open arms. But I'm going to tell you that things are getting more expensive. Wages are going down, if not zero. There's not enough money for unemployment. This is where universal basic income comes in, but that's on a plan 1 and 2. So that's included. So if you get into the academy, or when you get into the academy, you run through the foundation part 1 through 5, and then you go to the plan 1 and 2. Actually, I like the plan 1 and 2 to open up with, because that just gives you, in order to know where you're going, like Champ says, you have to know where you came from. And that's the problem with us. We're not historians. When you live in with scarcity mindset, you're not really looking too far back, too far forward. You see what I'm saying? So there's a healthy balance between the two. So I'm just telling you that everybody's giving at least 40 hours of their time away to somebody. We only have 24 hours in a day. We sleep for 8. We give work for another 8. And what's left? What's left for us to do? Mm-hmm. We don't plant seeds historically. That's why every time hard times hit, the wealthy always get money. Why? Because they tuck the money away for these times, and it's growing because they created the system in the playbook that we have right now, and we don't follow that. So y'all want to follow the lifestyle of entertainers and sports? You know how much work those people put in to get to that point? Then on top of that is just, there ain't enough spots for all of us to be in those two categories right there. So I would say in 2024, let's leave the Diddy and all that stuff. Let's just leave that stuff alone. Let them dudes just have at it. Right? Mm-hmm. Kind of seeing the parties coming to an end a little bit right now. Now we got to get a little bit more serious. So it's cool. This is what they call a give back period. So when they talk about a wealth transfer, that means the wealth has to leave somebody's hands, right? And go into somebody else's hands. They're not creating new wealth. It's transferring. So if said music artist loses his money, guess what? That's just less money for you to give to that artist right now. Now you got to redirect your fund somewhere else. Who are you going to give it to? See where I'm going with this? And there's no education or knowledge wrapped around the culture. So when you praise these guys that give you the music, what do they give you in return from that? A $200-300 ticket price to go see them in person at least once a year. Then they sell you on verticals with alcohol and all the other shit that they selling you in this bullshit ass lifestyle that's costing you so much money to try to keep up with. Let's just cancel that. Trust me when I tell you that. This is the time that we start to take self-accountability for ourselves and stop playing this victim mentality stuff. Is old. I am one of the most prominent leaders that are going to lead us into this future, period, Champ and I. We are two of the most prominent future leaders for Black and brown people. And for all people, at the end of the day, I'm for all people, but I'm just telling you that we are the most prominent because we are not putting things in your face to destroy you. We have been led into a burning building by so many people, even people that look like us. So we know everything that's going on with the internet. We're all conspiracy theorists right now, but nobody's doing nothing about it. Sign up for this academy. It's easy to cancel if you want to come out. Trust me when I tell you that. Sign up for the academy. And at $50, we didn't do it to get rich because I'm sure you guys paid way more. I've seen what these guys are charging out here for these ebooks and stuff. So we're talking about every time we drop something, it's going to be loaded into your course load. We might have maybe 2% of courses, not even a handful of courses that we have a premium price to. But at that point, you already know what the value is because we've already given so much to you. Mm-hmm. Birds of a feather flock together. So understand, if the financial world is about to burn, and if you start to look at the closest people around you and start to take the net worth situation, right? And then what I want you guys to do too is I want you to take your current net worth and divide it by 2, because that's how much money we're losing and are going to lose when this thing transfers over. They're going to take this money and turn it digital in the middle of the night. Understand, every exchange we used to use going back to 2015, none of them are existing right now. They're picking them all apart. It's called Operation Choke Point. That's where the government comes in. They kill your ability to buy crypto. So if you don't have the bag locked away right now, you can't buy anymore. When they turn the lights out and they cut them back on again, all the institutional guys come in, and then we got a new world now. And then you guys are going to be looking back like, golly. And at that point, it don't matter what courses we give you, you just won't have the capital because you can't go to the bank with your social security number anymore. That's done. You got to go to the bank with assets in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is going to be back behind an asset. We got into this trouble because of the debt bubble. So that's why Bitcoin is so highly favored, because of the scarcity. That's it. Because if you could just print something, what's the value of that? And the worst part about what they're doing is we're borrowing against future generations. So I'm borrowing against my kids. My parents borrowed against their kids. You, in 5 years, the minimum house price is going to be, the lowest house price probably going to be $500,000 in the worst area of America. So on top of that, with all the land, I just saw a map the other day that showed where Black and brown people live currently in the United States. Yo, listen, we on top of each other. There's a whole United States out here, and there's also a whole world out here where we can maneuver. But we want to stay in New York. We want to stay in Atlanta. We want to, you see the cost of living going up inside these cities right now?
Insane.
And everybody could be a digital nomad, meaning you could work from home. So what better way to cut back on expenses than going somewhere that's affordable? And you shouldn't be going out if you ain't got no money anyway. So that turn up part, you know, after a certain age, that's it. Let's not waste time. We know that's the most valuable commodity. We're the only brothers out here that's teaching people about data. I don't see anybody talking about data on the internet. Nobody. But for some reason, all the hundreds of apps I have in my phone, why do they need all this information? That my TV, my remote control, everything is listening to every word that we say. And then we turn around and we tell ourselves like, damn, I feel like they listen to me every time there's an ad. So we know what they're doing right now. So they just sold you on something that you needed, that you said you needed. How do you fight the urge to click buy now? How? All our wallets and everything is connected. It's time to grow up, guys. I'm telling you, they're going to start pulling the money automatically. Once this thing moves over to the blockchain, here's the part that gets scary, is because it becomes programmable money. So imagine what this lovely government is going to do to every single one of us. That's when you listen to the plan 1 and 2. We'll tell you everything that's about to happen in the exact order that it's going to happen in. That's not worth $50. And that was free. We gave the free call on that one.
Free.
So if we're giving you that stuff for free, imagine the stuff that we have. It's the future stuff that has the value to it. And we're not even charging for that. Right, Champ? Didn't I tell you, listen, it pains me to charge somebody every time we come out for a course. Champ called it the Netflix of learning, and then we ran with it. $50 one, and that's it. There's nothing to talk about, guys. But what happens is it pains me a little bit when people say I don't have money. No, what you're saying is you don't have time. Right? Because you could afford the things that you want. You don't have time for this. That's it. It's no problem. But be careful, because the universe listens to what you say. So when you tell the universe you don't have money, understand why this thing keeps happening to us. So there's a language. There's a language that we have to be mindful of. So that's another thing that we teach in here. So if you can connect with anything I said, anything that Champ said in an hour and a half, just imagine when you get close to us. And understand, guys, the access to us is getting wider and 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 wider. And eventually, I'm not here. I'm not here. I'm not even going to be here to tell you link in the bio. This company is going to run on its own vertical. I'm out. I've done everything I needed to do in my life right now to position myself and my family for my future and our future. The reason I'm hell-bent on bringing everybody along is I do not need my kids growing up in a society where no one could think. You understand? I could easily go to farmland and chill, but that's not fair to them. So what's their peer group looking like if we don't get on tap right now? If they got us sleep, imagine what the chokehold they putting on our kids right now. None of them could get off these phones. With that said, we also got a crypto kids camp coming up this summer. A way for parents to get their kids involved in cryptocurrency. We're going to teach them how to trade. We're going to teach them what cryptocurrency is. We're going to teach them how to make money playing video games. We're going to show them the future of what's about to embark on. Because remember, these kids have been trained. That Roblox situation, that's the metaverse. So they're more trained now than you are. So start understanding what these games
Yeah.
are doing to them. So we're going to show you what these games are doing to the kids and how they're preparing them for the future. So your kid is either going to be, there's only two things. You're either going to be a super consumer on universal basic income with money that has an expiration date on it, and you always have to spend it, but that's no problem because you always want to spend it anyway. Or you're just going to be a super producer, right? You're going to start to see trillionaires and gazillionaires. What's after a trillion?
Quadrillion.
I don't know about quadrillion in my lifetime, but you'll definitely see trillionaires are going to be like nobody's business right now.
Thanks.
So think about it. If our community is talking about becoming first-time billionaires, y'all got to be careful with that billionaire stuff too. That stuff sounds a little ridiculous. Y'all keep, these platforms, man, they're planting these chips inside of y'all. It's not attainable for everybody. And that's not even the goal at the end of the day. I'm all about impact. I don't need to put a dollar amount on anything. I just couldn't do free because I did free. Champ did free. What happened with free, Champ? Nobody sees the value in it.
Nothing.
Nobody pays attention.
Nobody.
Then I get people that say, yo, $50 is too cheap. $500 is too much. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. Drop the link one more time. Guys, we have to take back control of our lives. Your money is being babysat for you. Your health is being babysat for you. Your security is being taken care of. Your education is being taught to you by somebody else. What the fuck? You starting to see this pattern right now? You are moving into extinction dealing with these systems. This is why people are falling sick, dying early. Life shouldn't be this stressful for everybody, man. This is why I teach cryptocurrency, because the financial language wrapped around financial literacy does not have to be this way. They created it to trick you. It's not that difficult. Trust me when I tell you that. Students in my group, how difficult do you think cryptocurrency was versus the first couple times you had a few conversations with us? Drop a 1 in the chat if we made it super easy for you to understand cryptocurrency and blockchain technology.
All months.
Thank you. Look at the community someone built before you start to give influencers money moving forward. Okay? You go look at the community and you poke around and you ask questions. You go to the Reddit boards, you do all sorts of things. I'm a real estate investor first and foremost, right? Because that's the part I can control. So when I seen all these guys doing all these real estate verticals and stuff like that, I heard these guys speak and I knew that they were of minimal experience in the space. But when you call things out online, they call you a hater, right? I was called a hater. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to help y'all. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Now look, indictments. But the worst part about it is not the indictment, it's that my people keep losing money. If our own people aren't here to protect us and we know that they're not here to protect us, then what the fuck? Champ and I are only here to give you all the information that you need to make informed decisions for yourself. I'm not here to be a gatekeeper. The table is circular. Where's the head of the table at a circle table?
It ain't one.
I'm out. Wrap it up.
Smoke that. Listen, you smoke that. Guys, that is where the mic is dropped. I'm not going to say too much more. The Bitcoin Halving Masterclass sounding out. If you're not already in the academy, you need to get in it. This is going to be uploaded for you guys. The course is already in there. All of the academy students are already enjoying the content and so much more. So if you're not there, we'll see you there. All right? Peace.